From Fox 8 Sports, this is the Overtime Podcast.
From the Fox 8 studios in New Orleans, this is the Fox 8 Overtime Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Fazende, riding shotgun as each and every podcast is Andre Johnson.
Junior.
Not forget the Junior. Very important, remember the JR at the end of the name. Before we get into today's content, be sure to like, to share, to rate, to review. If you're watching us on YouTube, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, get the bell notification. But when we drop that, fire content. Also, hello to the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. Glad you have found us here. Hope you're enjoying all the stuff we're doing here on this Gulf Coast Sports Entertainment Network. We're doing a training camp show after every practice for an hour, getting some great interviews, some great insight. You'll hear one of those interviews today, later on. But without further ado, it is Wednesday. Big day, hot day earlier today, city of New Orleans at Saints training camp. It was a hot one. I sweat like crazy today. Practice number 7. We're going to call it practice 7, even though it was a walkthrough. That still counted as a practice, in my opinion, because it was on the schedule as a practice. So we're going to go with that on Tuesday. But today was a fully padded practice. They were back in it, and my goodness, was it a good, intense practice. First things first, though, how you feeling?
You know, I got to get used to this. I'm sure you can tell.
I know, what's up with this? We got a new,
we've shifted a little bit. Things are a little different here. That's the wonderful thing about working at a TV station. Sometimes they just do stuff and don't tell you. So here we are.
So it's the same set. It's just a new look. It's a new angle. It's like when you rearrange your room as a kid, where you just kind of move things around. I'm gonna put my bed on this wall now. That bed on that wall now. We tweaked the cameras, and now we're looking at a different camera. Yeah. And this is now behind us, as opposed to that angle we had before, which was sort of this on a diagonal look. So there, we're here. So hope you like it. Hope you enjoy it, because it's here to stay. All right, Andre. Like I said, I was out there today. Really good practice, man. Really, really good practice. This was their longest practice, and it clocked at just under an hour and 40 minutes. It's still mind-boggling, the pace that they're going by, and yet you feel like they got a full workload in, and you look down, and it's only been a little bit over 90 minutes as their longest practice to date. It was a good practice from that standpoint, but also what we saw on the field, in particular, one side of the ball, and that's where I want to go with the big picture today.
Absolutely. That side of the ball being the offensive side of the ball. The Saints offense probably had their best day today in all of training camp so far. Now the question is that a sign that they're starting to turn the corner?
Well, you hope so. You certainly hope so, and then that's what you want to see this stage of camp. Like I said, you're at the point now, we're almost to August, 7 practices in, so the newness of camp is worn off, but there's still a level of excitement because it is, it is still relatively, you're still fresh sort of where you're at. But you want to see progress on the field, and we've seen progress on the field defensively. We've seen moments when it came to the offense, but I would go out on a limb and say today was the best practice I saw from an offensive standpoint when you consider how long they went, the fact that they were in pads, how hot it was, and all the other factors. Allow me to explain. Let's just get right into it, because running the ball and throwing the ball, it was a very good day. You may not see a lot of talk about the running the football, but the between the tackles running today was fantastic. Alvin Kamara in particular looked really, really good running between the tackles. Kendre Miller, once again, this is a guy who's looking for a little bit of a career revival, so to speak. Kind of doesn't want to be the forgotten guy. He's out the doghouse. He's taking advantage of his opportunity. He looks swift. He looks leaner. He looks like he's in better football shape, which has always been his problem. So you talk about running the football, and the quarterback runs as well, and throwing the football. I thought all 3 quarterbacks looked good today. I thought all 3 quarterbacks had a good day, which is exactly what you want to see. Jake Haener, let's start there, because he was the one that got the first team reps. And I told you, and I told the Fox 8 Sports staff, there will be a day we will come on this set and say Jake Haener was the best quarterback on the field. My friends, that day was today. Jake Haener looked so good running with the first team. He looked really poised. He was making good decisions. He was accurate with the football. His first period of practice, he hits Chris Olave on a double move off of a little mini play action where he throws it, and Olave does a double move. I think it was a sluggo, gets it over, and it would have been a touchdown. There's a period in practice where, first and foremost, this was the most I saw the defense blitz all practice. So they blitzed against Haener, who came into camp as a third stringer. So they're blitzing the hell out of the guy that, it started camp as a third stringer. And let me tell you, he handled the blitz well. Saw the field well. When there was the free guy coming, he knew how to kind of reset his feet, reset his launch pad, and throw it. He knew how to, turn the protections, understand, when there's a twist coming, when he's got to get the ball out. There's a throw he makes to Rashid Shaheed on one of them, and it's a great throw. It's located perfectly in a 2-minute drill. But Kool-Aid McKinstry makes the better play and knocks the ball away. There's another play where they run a twist, and DeMario Davis is coming around the edge, and you see it. It's a bang-bang play, and the receiver is not quite out of his break yet, but boom, he hits him right on time, gets the 7 or 8 yard completion, gets the first down during 2 minutes. I think it was Kevin Alston. So I thought Jake Haener, and we said this was going to happen. This is what Jake Haener does. He's going to have his moments. Yep. He just shines in this sort of arena. I hope he translates onto the field because no one wants to see anybody do bad, and I would love to see a guy that really excels in practice translate that to the game. So hopefully that happens with Jake Haener. But at least for one day, I thought he was the best quarterback on the field. That does not take away what the other two guys did. Spencer Rattler ran with the twos. I thought he had an early play where he executed a zone read perfectly, broke one for like 25. There was a 2-minute drill, 3rd and 15, where the Red Sea parts, he takes off for about 16 or 17. There's a deep ball to Mason Tipton during a team period. That was one of the plays of camp. The only reason why I gave the nod to Haener over Rattler today, he threw another pick. He threw a pick during 7-on-7, and now he's thrown 3. And all 3 have looked the same, and this is what it is. Sometimes Rattler has a tendency to want to almost finesse a deep ball to where almost like try to groove it in instead of just letting it fly. All 3 of his interceptions have come off underthrown passes near the goal line. The first one to Quincy Riley, he was trying to throw out the back of the end zone. He was way short. The second one to Danny Stutzman, there's a receiver open, running up the seam. It was way short, around the 5-yard line. And then today, he's throwing a deep ball to Bub Means. It wasn't red zone. It was like at the 40, but he wants it all. And Quincy Riley is playing off coverage. He sees it and just finds the ball. By the way, Quincy Riley, you've heard that name quite a bit now. It's all rookies getting interceptions right now. That's his 2nd interception of camp. So that's the only reason why I didn't put Rattler ahead of Haener. I should also mention that he closed out the 2-minute drill, but Kellen Moore, a nifty play call at the end. I should have mentioned this when I talked about the running backs. He calls the draw play with like 40 seconds left. They give it to Velus Jones Jr. I've told you about Velus Jones. And he breaks free. Again, Red Sea parts. He races to the end zone for about a 35, 40-yard touchdown. In Shuck's case, back with the 3s. And once again, the fewest reps of anyone. He didn't get a chance to participate in 2-minute drill. Again, I don't know why every 3rd day they're accepting their rookie that they gave a guaranteed contract, less reps. But it happened again today. I will say, though, in limited reps, I saw progress today. I saw progress. Early in practice, he finds Brandon Cooks on a deep comeback route, and it's really flashing the arm talent. Brandon Cooks did a phenomenal job of getting the foot down, the 2 feet down. And there's another throw where, if you check my Twitter, you can see Jeff Hager, our photographer, shot it. It's around the 24, 22-yard line. Rashid Shaheed is running kind of a fade. And he throws it, and it's wide. Shaheed catches it. He's well out of bounds. But that was a step in the right direction. Why? Because he threw it. Yep. And now you can grade, okay, you made the correct decision. You made a decisive choice. It was the right choice. Now we can just grade you on, okay, now you got to get that throw off a little earlier. Or now you got to understand there's not a lot of real estate on that side of the field. Give your receiver a chance. Now you move on to football as opposed to he didn't throw it that time and now no play happens. And which, at this stage of camp, not throwing it is going to frustrate your receivers as well. Yep. So I thought there were small steps of progress for Tyler Shuck as well. The QB breakdown is interesting. Rattler has only done first team, second team. Haener has only done first team, third team. Shuck is the only one that's done first, second, and third team. I would like to see him get a little bit more when he's with the third team because I think these reps are too valuable. It is what it is. Only the coaches can clarify why they're doing it that way. But all in all, while it wasn't a perfect day and there were a few plays made by the defense, I thought today was a really good day by the offense, in particular, all three quarterbacks.
And that's good because we've talked about in the past how the defense has really kind of been shining this training camp. So it's good to see that offensive counterpunch. And obviously you got to talk about the quarterbacks when you're talking about the Saints because that's the big storyline this summer. To break down all three in the reverse order that you did, Tyler Shuck did make some strides today. He had a good run,
Another zone replay, yeah.
A good run. He was, willing to make those throws in comparison to how he was pulling them back earlier. So we're making progress. It's not enough progress yet. I still think he's definitely behind Rattler. And if you want to look at things all even, honestly, Jake Hayner's outperformed him as well too. So he's got to keep this momentum rolling, but it is a small step in the right direction. As for Spencer Rattler, he's been really riding the highs and lows of training camp. Spencer Rattler has had the best days, and we've seen him have some of the worst throws and worst days as well. Sunday wasn't a great day for Spencer Rattler. You mentioned the 3 interceptions, more interceptions than any quarterback in training camp has thrown so far, and you don't want to blow training camp interceptions.
No, of course not.
Because, this is where you throw your interceptions. I'd much rather you throw it in practice 7 than week 7 of the NFL season. But I think you're sensing a trend with Spencer Rattler. We talked about the things we wanted to see him improve upon. At the top of that list was handling the bullets and handling the pressure. Right below that, though, deep balls.
Yeah.
Because last year in his 7 games that he played, 6.5 if you want to say that, he did not do a great job with the deep ball. I remember his first pick of the season came in that game against Tampa where he underthrew a deep ball.
He tried to groove it. He tried, instead of throwing, he tried to groove it a little bit.
Double coverage to Rashid Shaheed, and we saw other ones against, Green Bay. He did have a good one to, I think it was Marquez Valdez-Scantling in the Washington game. So it's not like every deep throw was bad.
Right.
It was something that he had to work on last year, and it was something that in OTAs and minicamp, while Tyler Shuck was letting that thing fly in 7-on-7s, we were also saying Spencer Rattler's doing a good job working the intermediate, but he hasn't been as effective on the deep throws, and that's kind of continued into training camp. Now, to his credit, he did have a really good deep ball to Mason Tipton. That was probably the best throw of the day. He just also had the worst throw of the day, which was an underthrown ball to Quincy Riley, who wound up intercepting it. So Spencer Rattler really riding the highs and lows of training camp, but that's better than the lows and lows, which we've seen so far from Tyler Shuck. And then to finally touch on Jake Hayner, it may sound harsh. I do not care what Jake Hayner does in training camp. I know that Jake Hayner is a practice phenom. I know he's a training camp legend. I know he's a Metairie maestro. I need to see what he does on the football field against other teams because we saw this in 2023 when it was him versus Jameis, and there were a lot of days where he looked better than Jameis Winston. We saw it last season where not only did he look better in training camp than Spencer Rattler, there were some days he looked better than Derek Carr.
Yeah.
We're seeing it again now where there are days, like you said, where Jake Hayner's going to come out and be the best quarterback on the field. But when he gets into the games, when he gets into the preseason, that game against Washington last year where I still don't think he was given a longer left leash, but the reasoning behind that was because he stunk up the joint in the first half. I need to see that translate from the field, the practice field, to the game field. So I don't care what he does in training camp. I need to see him preseason game 1, 2, and 3 to see if he can perform that same way in those situations. And then if he does that, then I can start saying this isn't the third wheel. Jake Hayner might have a chance to get into this quarterback.
Yeah, I think everyone's kind of in the same spot mentally when it comes to Jake Hayner. Because we've seen this movie before. Seen this movie before. And you'd rather any chance you have to look good on the football field, you should take advantage of. So can't knock you for having a good day. It's just now 3 years in, maybe we're not going to have the glowing praise that you would normally have after a day that you would have today. I don't know if you would call what I said earlier about him glowing praise. I did praise him. I do think he had a really good day today. But it's correct. You got to take that with, okay, yeah, ... but can he do it in a game? And I think he's yet to do that. So I think it's a pretty good spot of where, pretty good snapshot of where things are. I thought it was also really encouraging how well they ran the ball today because they're in pads, you can hit, you can move guys. I thought they really ran the ball effectively. I thought Kellen Moore did a really nice job calling plays today. So if that's the way it's going to be, and we know that this team is going to have to be a team that relies on the run game to really be their offense and maybe a complementary type quarterback play, because I don't know if any of these guys currently can truly be the take over Superman cape type quarterback, at least not this year. Yeah. I think that was encouraging to see if you're looking for signs that I think can hold over, because I think that offensive line can translate when the regular season starts, and I think the running game can translate when the regular season starts, and that can give you a chance. Yep. That's all you can really ask for, is a chance in a season where, if you saw overtime Tuesday night, the lowest outside expectations I've ever recalled about a Saints team going into a season, definitely since I've been covering the team. So if you're looking for reasons to be somewhat optimistic, to be competent and give yourself a chance, I think there were seeds of that today with the offensive line and the way they were running the football.
And the guy who has been planting those seeds so far, or at least has had a big part in that, has been offensive coordinator Doug Nussmeier. Earlier today on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network, you and Juan Kincaid got to sit down with Coach Nuss and talk a little ball, Saints, and a little bit of LSU, because he has a son that wears purple and gold as well.
Got Doug Nussmeier, team's offensive coordinator, stepping in here. Doug, good to see you. How are you?
Great to see you guys, too.
Good to see you, sir.
Trying to catch a quick drink here.
Yeah, no problem. Take your time.
A little warm.
You can hang on to it.
I don't think this shade helps you guys much, does it?
It doesn't hurt.
Doesn't hurt, but I don't know how much it helps.
Yeah, right.
As long as it blocks that big bright light.
Yeah, it's like breathing pea soup out here, man.
It is. It's a big day for you. Obviously, training camp here up in Baton Rouge, starting practice up there as well. Are you keeping one ear on one and one ear on the other?
I got one ear on the phone to my son last night, just telling him, good luck, have a great camp, have a great experience. Yeah. Looking forward to their season, but right now, obviously, we're full in this thing. Everything's right here, right now.
No doubt about that.
Big day today, a lot of work in, longest practice to date. Based on the practices I've seen, it looked like that was maybe the offense's best day all the way around. I thought all three quarterbacks made some nice plays. What did you think of just the effort out there today?
I really was pleased with our guys' effort. We got to clean some things up. Too many mental mistakes. When you get in this time of camp, guys are banged up, they're sore, they're tired. It's really when you got to push yourself mentally as well as, getting physically exerted. But give, Ted Rath and that crew in the weight room there a lot of credit for our acclimation period. Like you said, the longest practice. We're building to where we want to be. So, like you said, today was longer. We'll continue to be longer and longer.
When you look at the training camps you've been in the past with other franchises, have they been similar to this in terms of getting the work in, hour and 15 minutes? Again, today was the longest practice. Tomorrow will be long as well. But generally, they've averaged around 75 to 80 minutes. Is that what you're used to in past places?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, you can practice as long as you want, but what's the tempo of your practice? You want to get out, get your work in, and get off the field. So the biggest thing we talk to our guys about is tempo. Every day we want to attack. Yeah. We want to go out in the field. Everything needs to be fast. We get stretched, we get loose, and then let's go. And then, when we're done, we're done. Because we'll script the period for 10 minutes, and if we're done in 7, we're done in 7.
You are, it's a three-way sort of competition, if you will. Three guys getting first-team reps. The quarterback position today was Hayner's turn. Thought he had a nice day. Rattler's been pretty steady. The rookie Tyler Shuck making progress. How would you sort of assess where those three guys stand just 7 practices in?
Well, obviously there's days where one may do something really extraordinary, like, wow, that's awesome, and then someone might do something not as well, and we got to correct it. They've each had their moments, both good and bad. And the great thing is they're in the room together, they're pushing each other, they're competing. Everybody knows, what's at stake and what we're going through here. Really pleased at their focus. And, it's hard when one day you're with the ones, you get a lot of reps. The next day you come back and now you're in the third unit, and you might stand for 15 or 20 minutes before you get your reps. But, it kind of simulates a game at times, too. Sometimes you got to wait for a long possession for the other team. Coach Staley and then we're going to get them off the field this year, so we won't have any of that. But, no, it's all good. And I can't say enough about the three of them, their focus, and the way they've worked with one another.
I think on the outside of the building, everyone's taking each practice as it is and saying, you know what, oh, Jake had the better day. He's going to be the starter. Or, Spencer had the better day. But it feels like to us that this is a competition that's going to come down to how these guys fare in the preseason games, going against somebody that's different than what you're going against every day.
Well, I think That is true. Obviously, we're going to evaluate the preseason games, just like we're going to evaluate every practice.
Do they hold more weight, I guess is what I'm asking.
I think everything holds weight because the thing about preseason football is, there's different situations. You could potentially go out there with a third unit that's playing against another team's starters or second. So there's a lot of different variables in preseason football. So I think the biggest thing for us as a staff is to try and be consistent in our approach with the guys, evaluate them in each circumstance and each situation of the game, and try and find commonality so that we can make decisions.
We had Kellen sitting in that chair yesterday, and I asked him because you two have coached together for quite some time now. What is it about working with Kellen and now working for Kellen that's that you enjoy, that you've been able to kind of be with him these last few seasons?
Well, I've said it many a time. He's so smart, and the great thing about Kellen, he knows where he wants to go. He knows it's not going to be a straight line all the time. And he's really good at figuring out the ways to maneuver in and out to get to where he wants to go. And I just appreciate his consistency. Not only as a football mind, but as a leader, as a coach. It's been a great working experience for me.
In terms of like analytics and sports science, think about your years in the league, whether it be NFL or whatever level, and how much the game has changed. Has it changed for the better? For the job that you do, has it made it easier a little bit, or has it made it more difficult? There's more things to look at now.
There's a lot of things to look at, and I think, there's two sides to it. When you look at analytics, I think it's important that when you look at just pure numbers, you have to have some context to those numbers. And when you're a coach and you just want to focus on context, you can't ignore the numbers. There's a mesh there between the two, and finding that mesh and finding how you put it together so that you're making the best decisions, I think, is what's most important.
Was it difficult for you to, I guess, transition into having to let something else in the room to kind of influence your decisions?
Not really, because I think if you're open-minded, it helps you make better decisions. And you say, this is a tool that I can use. Now, there may be a time I disagree with the analytics and say, well, listen, I've got this matchup, that player versus that player, and we feel like our player's a lot better than their player. Well, that number, that percentage, changes drastically in our favor. So you can't just say it's a number. So that's where I get into, there's a give and take on both sides.
It's interesting because you were drafted here as a player back in, 1994? Is that correct?
94, yeah.
You've had the journey as a player, as a coach. Now you're back here as an assistant coach. Your son's right up the road, obviously, at LSU. How special is Louisiana, just the state, to you? Because you had no connections here before you got drafted here, but it feels like you've become like a native son almost in Louisiana.
It's never in my wildest dreams. I guess, like I said, every day we're blessed. My wife grew up in Lake Charles, the southwest side of the state there, from a large family. And the one thing constant in the time that we've last 25 years is. Wherever we've been, we've always come back to Louisiana, and the people here have been so great to us. And there's so many things we love about this state and the people of this state. It truly is special. It truly is genuine. It's like no other place in the country, and we love it.
Yeah, fans love this team. Obviously, you know all about that, but especially when they're winning football games. When they look at this team and you're explaining to them what the strength of it is, what would you tell them?
Well, I think it's a little early to say exactly here's what we are. We do really have a good, young offensive line group. When you look at it, you got 4 first-round picks and a second-round pick on the offensive line. We were able to get Juwan signed at tight end. Obviously, we got Foster still out right now, but to add Jack Stoll to that picture, the wideouts, we've got a big group there. Obviously, Alvin Kamara. All you got to do is say the name. It says enough.
You haven't mentioned Taysom.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's the thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't mention Taysom because don't know what bucket he goes in.
Yeah,
right.
Taysom
Exactly.
can do so many different things. Such a great skill set to do so many different things that, when you talk about Kellen's mind, Taysom's skill set, there's a lot of creativity we can use there.
We had all the quarterbacks on a couple of days ago, and they all said, because there's the 4 quarterbacks, your QB coach, your offensive coordinator, and your head coach were all former quarterbacks. They said they feel the quarterback knowledge in the room. How much do you think that's a benefit for? Because it's a young quarterback room, having that many guys with quarterback experience on the coaching staff.
It is a young room, and I think the biggest thing for Kellen and Scott and I is that we speak the same language, and that's the benefit of Kellen and I being together so long. And Scott, we were with Scott, was with us in Dallas, so we speak the same language. So when you can have that amount of people that have the experience and the minds to talk to them in the same language, I think it's a great benefit to them.
I want to finish up with this because the only outside, there's not a lot of belief in this football team this year. The players have already talked about how that's a bit of a fuel thing for them. Do the coaches feel the same? I know you guys always say we don't read the clips, but you know what's being said outside the room about what's not believed in this team. You see it every day, what talent they have on this field. Are they being underestimated?
I'll say this, everybody's going to have their own opinion and their own motivation. I know this, when you don't get a primetime game, I think people don't think you're very good. So if you want to put a chip on your shoulder, which I think a lot of us and our players do, great, let's go play them. Because we're going to play the games, so we're going to find out.
You like what you're lining up?
I love the way our guys are working. We got to get better. We got a long way to go. It's early, but I like the way our guys approach work every day. They come out here, they've given us everything. We got a lot of stuff to clean up, but this is a young group of talent that can improve continually throughout the season.
Good. Yep.
Doug Nussmeier, thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you,
offensive coordinator.
All right, so that was Coach Nussmeier. He's one of those guys. You marry a Louisiana girl, like you're going to be back here. And he did that, and obviously his son loved LSU and chose LSU for a reason, and obviously they can do big things. So Nussmeier, pretty open and candid about his coaching journey, coaching with Kellen Moore, his son, all those great things. So the Saints are obviously excited to have him. Tomorrow is a different day. Pads come back on, but they're going inside. Curious to see how they do inside with maybe not quite as devastating with the heat. See who does a little bit better inside tomorrow. So should be another big day. Keep it right here. We'll have another one tomorrow as well for Fox 8 Overtime Podcast. All right, for Andre Johnson Jr., I'm Sean Fazende. We will catch you guys next time on Overtime.